Hi, welcome to Elizabeth's Kind Cafe. I'm Elizabeth Katzman. Joining us today is Andrea McNinch. Andrea is a nutritionist and founder of Regeneration Raw. Andrea, thanks for being here today.
Thanks for having me, Elizabeth.
For the audience who may not know what eating raw is all about, maybe you could fill us in a little bit about it.
Sure, and I always tell people in classes not to feel bad if they don't know what raw food is, because when you first hear raw food, you go, well, how is that possible? What are you like chewing on raw animals out in the woods, or what is it just?
Right, or it sounds intimidating,
yeah, grass in your backyard. But I even was confused by it, and because I'm a French classically trained chef and went to one of the top culinary schools, and trained under master chefs. There was actually only 4 master pastry chefs at that time in the world, and I trained under one. So for me to be able to make the switch, I think anyone should be able to make the switch. So what raw food is there are raw foodists who do eat meat. So they do eat things like sashimi, like the raw fish and raw unpasteurized dairy, kind of like the Weston A. Price where they're eating all the raw dairy.
Right.
For me and my body and my physiology, going vegan is what works best for me. So mine's a plant-based raw food diet.
Okay.
So we eat everything that you can eat in the standard American diet. We mock all the same foods. It's grains, legumes, fruits, vegetables, everything that you can imagine, we can eat it in its raw state.
And what made you change? I mean, you were a trained chef, and clearly you weren't.
I was a total food snob, yeah. I did national food styling and had a great career, and was an editor for Gannett, here locally in town, and things were going really great, and I got sick. So that's usually most people's story. I mean, I don't know why you went vegan, but was it due to just not feeling good?
It was actually the more research I did, because I had my website and I was researching different recipes and researing just health in general, and all signs pointed to meat and dairy.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so when I got sick, people get sick and tired of being sick and tired. I just slowly started to fall apart, and unless you have cancer or something really degenerative, you're
considered being healthy.
You're healthy. So things kept piling up, and I was on more prescriptions, and one day I just left the doctor's office and I was like, no more, I'm not going to do this anymore. And so I read a book, and I went vegan, and like overnight I felt better. Within a week, everything that was wrong with me was gone. And I read a raw food book, which then kind of took me into raw foods, and I literally wept. I mean, it sounds so cheesy, but I just knew, and I literally cried on my couch and said, this is what I need to do.
Because it makes so much sense.
It's so easy. You almost go, am I dumb? Because it's so easy, the science behind it, and it's not anything new. What did we do before fire?
Exactly.
What did we do before fire? There's a great book by Dr. Edward Howell. It's called Enzyme Nutrition, and it was one of the textbooks for my master's program. And he literally traces back disease and cookery happen simultaneously. It's fascinating.
Well, it's the same thing with meat, that as your economic class goes up, then meat consumption goes up, then cancer and heart disease correspondingly go up.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And I'm a big believer too in meeting people where they're at. So though I am vegan, and though most of my clients do go vegan, I meet people where they're at. If they're not ready to take it all the way to vegan, I'll help them kind of like cut things out, eat a better meat if there really is such a thing, and slowly transition. And I always tell them, I said, find me a healing center, like the healing centers where we're talking, they're healing cancer and, and even AIDS and things that, are not curable. Like my master's program, where I'm getting my master's degree, it's the only school of its kind in the world. People from 93 nations go to there to heal nations. Like I didn't even know that many nations existed. Right. And the medical doctor that runs my program's been doing the raw thing for like 50 years. He's one of the gurus. And people, we reverse type 1 diabetes. In 3 days they're off their insulin, and it's not curable. Well, it totally is. I see it all the time.
And you talk about taking the power back and having your own power for your own health, which is such a good point, because you were saying you kept going to these doctors, and it's like you become a slave to the system, to what the doctors say, to all your appointments and the medications and everything, not realizing that it's all in your backyard. You can change it all within your kitchen.
It's the revolving. They always talk about the revolving door of the justice system. Well, the revolving door of the healthcare system is worse, and it just as my health kept progressively getting worse, I almost felt like the doctors were, you're getting older, you're a woman in this age, and it was always like I was a woman and I was getting older, so these are...
Right, so just accept it.
Yeah,
this is what's supposed to happen, you're not going to feel well.
And you know what, and when I got my DHEA levels tested, it was like 23, 24, I had the DHEA levels of a 75-year-old woman. And I realized after that, when I just was like, oh my God, I'm not going to live this way anymore, that you don't even have to live that way at 75. So all the things that we've been programmed to think, you just, you know, I hate getting into the Freakonomics of veganism or the politics of food, but it does play a big role, and even if you try to ignore it, it's there. And so, you know, it's like the protein myth. I'm sure you get it, and I get it all the time.
I was going to ask you that. I'm sure people ask you all the time.
Yeah. You know, if I had a penny for every time someone said that, I'd have my own jet.
It's one of the first things to ask.
But it's a great question. You should ask that, because in culinary school, everyone's like, throw them into protein, and it's like meat. It's protein is meat. Well, it's a total myth, and you can just go Google protein myth. Like, put that in your Google bar and see what pops up. And even though you'll find out the truth, it'll take you a few months to digest it. Pun intended. But even for me, I knew the truth, and I was like, this can't be true. But
so what's just for the audience? What's a quick answer to
where do cows get their protein? Cows don't eat cows, do they?
I know. Horses, giraffes, elephants, the biggest animals are vegetarians.
And when cows do eat cows, they get mad cow disease. Right. And so another thing too is when you go to the doctor and you know you get some crazy diagnosis, you know, the big C word, I don't even like saying it, gives it power, but cancer or something, you don't run out of there going, oh my God, I better get the best source of protein on planet Earth. Where's protein? It's like you're running out of there going, oh my God, where do I get my antioxidants? Where do I get my phytonutrients? Yes. That's the stuff we should be concerned about. Right. It's just like we're so duped on protein. And
don't wait until you get sick then to figure out where you're getting all your nutrients.
And that's kind of where I had to go. And thank God that I had everything that was really quickly reversible at my age. But you know, I get some people that show up at my door and they're so beat up. First of all, they went allopathic, which is traditional medicine. They're on 18 medications. The medications are killing them. They're a mess. So then they go naturopathic and homeopathic, which is great. Love them. I'm glad they're there. Yeah. And they get things cured, you know, things balanced. But a lot of times now they're on $40,000 worth of, you know, drugs that insurance doesn't cover. And that's, I don't care if you're taking an herb or if you're taking, you know, a pharmaceutical. Yeah, there's a difference, but you don't have to live that way.
Right. So it doesn't have to be all about supplements.
Yeah, and we do need, I mean, we live in a toxic environment. You can't ignore some of the stuff like our B12. I mean, I don't care if you're vegan or not vegan. You have to supplement B12. You can't get it from nutritional yeast. It's just no way.
Right.
So, and our bodies actually used to make B12. There's a little gland above the spleen. I have a theory on that. As we just started eating so much meat, our bodies get so smart. They're like, wow, we have so much other stuff to deal with. Now let's just stop making it.
I mean, it's just evolution. That's the way. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. And B12's really so. But not just vegans. You can go test anybody, the craziest ravenous omnivore.
People are low in their B12.
Yeah, and they're going to be low on B12. So there are some
people are getting. I mean, major meat eaters are going around getting B12 shots still because.
Which those last about 4 days.
Right.
Garbage.
I don't. I tried it once, but.
Yeah. You feel good for about 10 hours and you're like, oh my God, where'd my B go?
Yeah.
You know, you're kind of like shooting up. So you need your fix soon after that. But
so then when you learned all this stuff, you realized you wanted to share what you learned.
I did, and I saw it firsthand. And going out to the Tree of Life was where my master's program is, and seeing and hearing and being with people. I mean, schizophrenia gone 3 months. I'm talking anything that you could possibly think of. And I'm not saying food is your cure-all, end-all. There's also a side of it where, you know, stress will kill you. And so there's a meditation yoga part to our program. And so if this stresses you out, like if people who go raw and they get so dogmatic and they're so crazy about it and they're so stressed out, I'm like,
that's a good point.
That's going to kill you. So there's life outside the kitchen, and if it stresses you out, you're not ready for it. Don't try it. So that's why today,
that's a great point.
Elizabeth was talking to me. We're just going to do something easy. So, you know, you're going to see this today and be able to just do one thing. I know I've had clients who just add in a green smoothie and their rheumatoid arthritis is gone. Like they've been on medications 15 years, and all they're doing is getting some greens and, you know, some neutralizing, really highly mineralized stuff in their bodies.
Just baby steps. Even if it's just starting your day with a healthy smoothie in the morning, or even if it's just one day a week, anything to just sort of move in that direction.
Or just do all smoothies on a Sunday. You know, take one Sunday. And the reason smoothies work so well is what we're doing in this high-speed blender. And you can't do this at home with the regular blender. If you do, your blender will break, and you'll email Elizabeth and be really mad because the motor will burn out. So this blender right here is a high-speed blender, so they might even go faster than this now because this looks like a newer one. Wow, this one's Culinary Institute of America. So it's a little CIA one, but they go like 240 miles an hour, so they could grind up like an iPhone. I think there's a YouTube video of an iPhone being ground up. So that's
I love this thing though. It's a little expensive, and I use it
Invest in your health.
Every day, though.
Invest in your health.
Yeah.
There's the Vitamix, which I love because I'm a professional chef. The next one's the Blend Tech, which is a little bit cheaper, which you can get it at Bed Bath & Beyond now. Then there's the Montel Williams Health Master, which is like under $200. You can get it online, and if if money's an issue, go that route. But I'm telling you that I know people who've had the one from the 1930s, and it's huge in steel and looks crazy, but it still works. So this is an investment in your health. It's a shift in consciousness. And I remember when I went for my great editorial job, starting my business I have now, and I took this huge, drastic pay cut from money to literally going, oh my God, But and my friends, had these great jobs still, and I just said, you know what, this is more important to me than the food I eat. So I started spending my money on my food. Well, I feel better, and Fendi purses don't matter to me anymore. Right. It's a shift in consciousness. They have their Fendi purses, but they can't even enjoy them anymore because they're sick. Their kids are sick. Their husbands are sick. They're all sick, and that's all. I meet up with them, and they're, this person's getting a stint. I'm like, are you guys 100 years old? Like, what's wrong with you? I know, it's incredible. Then I show up with my green smoothie, and I'm the weird one, but they're all sitting around talking about this death and dying and people degenerating. And
the amount of money that they're spending on the pharmaceuticals and the doctor's visits and all that stuff. So you're better off investing it in some good equipment that you're going to use at least once a day. I used it.
And you can even use this for cooking. Like if you just leave it on, you could go to the farmer's market, buy potatoes, carrots, whatever fresh.
Make a soup.
Throw it in here and just turn it on and let it run 10 minutes and you have a hot pureed soup, and it's not like the heat on a stove where it's really volatile to the enzymes. Right. So the reason this is great is we pre-digest our food. So we're grinding it up. When you feed babies, you feed them baby food because they don't have digestive systems yet that can break down food. And so we're constantly digesting, right? So there's 3 types. I'll tell you a little bit about raw food quickly and why we love raw food so much. There's 3 types of enzymes. There's digestive enzymes in our bodies, right? There's also metabolic enzymes. Well, there's one more enzyme that's really important. It's the digestive enzymes in food, right? And it's in all raw food. So if it's raw meat, raw dairy, even distilled water is minus enzymes. Pure water has enzymes. So everything living has enzymes in them, and there's a synergy. So what's happening is if you look at the standard American plate, or even any plate really, it doesn't matter if you think you're healthy like I thought I was, you're cooking all your food. So all of this food's going into your mouth. You start digestion as soon as you look at it. You're like, ooh, looks good, you salivate. And what's going on is your digestive enzymes are so busy constantly digesting food. They're like, dude, we're so tired, we can't do it. So your metabolic enzymes are like, all right. So your metabolism, think about it. Oh, as I age, my metabolism's slowing down. After you eat a big meal, you're like, oh, blown out with the pants undone, tired, right? So your metabolic enzymes are digesting. They're not supposed to be. At least 3 cancer cells enter your body every day, and I'm being very, I'm not trying to freak anyone out. I'm being very minimal on that. You need your metabolism, your metabolic enzymes to do what they're supposed to do. And so if we're eating raw foods, the digestive enzymes are in them, and they're destroyed with heat instantly. So if I'm not even talking about the box food, like the worst food ever. So if we took the most healthy food, this cucumber, and ate it here, great. We cook it, we destroy.
So even if you think you're a very healthy eater, I eat lots of fruits and vegetables. If you're cooking the heck out of them,
and even
not
steaming, there's some things like people start to freak out and they're like, can't eat anything steamed, or just make sure you get a good balance. So if you look at your plate, by volume per plate, just look at it and say, you know what, everything's cooked on here. Just start to throw some raw stuff, even if at the beginning it is just a salad. But just know you can eat so much more than salads. I mean, just start to Google raw food online. You'll go, wow, this looks like, amazing food.
But I think it's overwhelming to think, well, if it's not just salads, then what is it? And that's part of what you do with Regeneration Raw is you offer coaching and classes. And because I think if someone is interested in this, it's not a bad idea to just get a little introduction.
Because
so it's not
new.
just salads, that there's so many more things.
And you should feel that way. And again, because of my background and the chefing background I have, I remember walking into a health food store many years ago and looking at all the salts and cried, I have to go back to culinary school, oh my God, oh my God. And then I got out of this panic zone and said, wow, I have one of the top culinary educations. How do normal people feel, or the home chef, or anybody? How confused are they when I can't even, I didn't even know we're going to work with some cacao today. I didn't even know what raw chocolate was. And again, there was 4 master pastry chefs in the world, and I was almost on the culinary Olympic team. Like I turned it down to go do academic stuff, but so I do know food. And so if I felt that way, it's got to be overwhelming. So I suggest that you do take classes, and I really want to stress as well, is that there's healing raw, mainstream raw, and everything in between. And there's so much out there. I mean, you're going to get into it and almost be turned off.
Right, because lately there has been, I mean, the past couple of years especially.
Banter in the community about 80-10-10. You'll find, you know what? The premise of the center I'm opening, which we'll talk about, is it's called Heal Yourself Institute, and it's getting information so you can heal yourself. So don't do what anyone else is saying or doing. Do if you eat it and you don't feel good, and someone just says, you know what, you're detoxing, or you're this. You might be, but chances are, if you really aren't feeling well, don't eat it.
Right.
Like, don't listen to me, don't listen to anybody. But I love raw food in that it is so experiential, Elizabeth, that people eat it and then they heal themselves of cancer, and they were just a stay-at-home mom. So they're writing a book or they're out there, and that's great, but that was their experience. So that's why I gravitated towards the medical doctor that I trained under about bio-individuality. No matter how you're going to eat, there's a way that we're all born. That's why some people who go vegan feel horrible. They're like, I went 20, and there's other things at play, but I went 24 hours, I thought I was going to die.
Right.
Someone else is like, I've never felt this good. Because some people do need a little bit more protein.
Or some people are eating potato chips, and that is vegan, and you will feel like crabs.
Or fake
I mean, it depends.
or
or a bunch of, soy and a bunch of processed
soy, no. We don't eat soy in the raw food world, but
So it is all individual. But at the Heal Yourself Institute, which is opening
First week of
August, 2011.
Yep.
So coming up pretty shortly here. And that's sort of the premise, to heal yourself, give people the power to heal themselves.
Yep.
And all the tools.
Yep. And so my whole mantra, and because of the journey that I've been on with my own self and have seen people struggle, is that better health isn't a science problem, Elizabeth. It's an information problem. And you'll just hear so many people just give up because they get so frustrated because they've got all this stuff coming at them. And I'm going to let people know to just go back to trusting themselves and
their
how
own
they
instincts.
feel. Yeah, and also with a little bit of science, because again, there's a certain way we're all born. If you run on an autonomic system, or if you're a slow or fast oxidizer, that's going to dictate to you what ratio you need to eat per plate. That's why some people can go vegan and feel great and some people can't. I'm a fast oxidizer. I need more protein. And again, I get so much protein. Plants have protein in them.
Right.
The highest source of protein on planet Earth is chlorella. And it's a green algae. And hemp seeds too, are 60% digestible protein. And it's soft protein, so it's instantly assimilated. I have an Olympic bodybuilder client. She lives out in Oregon, and she was literally ready for her competition 3 months before. Her trainer called me from AZ and was like, I can't believe it. I thought she'd be emaciated and and she was ready to rock.
Yeah, people get very scared.
She looked amazing.
You're going to be emaciated and just wither away with...
But we had to sit down and make an individual diet for her.
So if someone comes to the Heal Yourself Institute, which is in Royal Oak, Michigan, by the way, it's is that they're going to get that sort of individual analysis?
Yep. Absolutely. So I'll be taking clients on. Again, I haven't in about a year, so a lot of people are excited. And we'll have other people there as well. But there's going to be every kind of healing modality from every top healing center in the world in one place and not off the grid in a city, to really test this model and show that it can work in, the concrete jungle. And it's going to be amazing. It's not just like a healing center. A lot of times healing center it's kind of like the word natural. You never know what you're going to get.
Right.
And there are a lot of good healing centers. And a lot of times it's just, a chiropractic office loaded with supplements. And I love chiropractic work. I want to put that out there. But this is beyond that. This is really getting in and giving people choices. So they can figure out, by their income level, how sick they are, what they believe in, what they need. They'll be able to learn it all there. You'll learn all the kind of food preparation. There'll be cooked food there as well.
For all different levels. So
every
whatever
level
your knowledge base is,
yep.
you can come in and know that there's going to be something for you. And then the opening is the same timing as the David Wolf Raw, which you put together.
Yep.
And what the exact dates are?
Yep, it's August 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th. So it's kind of 4 days of epic events. And so this is David Wolf's only stop in his Midwest tour. And David Wolf is Beyond Raw Foods. He's one of the top nutritionists and researchers in the world. Even his longevity conference at Costa Mesa, Dr. Mercola comes and speaks at his event. So he's Beyond Raw Food. He has the same master's degree in nutrition that I do from Gabriel Cousins. He got his degree like 15 years before I did, but he is absolutely, for longevity research, cancer research, he is the top. And so it's beyond raw food. So even if you don't eat raw food, it's absolutely more than that. So Thursday night, We're doing a little special, because he's here, a little special event. We're renting out the Royal Oak movie theater. We're going to show the movie Food Matters because David's in it. He'll do a 30-minute Q&A afterwards. And then Friday's a private. It's David Wolf's birthday, so I'm doing a 100-person private schwank, 4-course raw dinner. We're going to have a band. It's just kind of to mingle and get David Wolf he's always at these huge events with so many people. Yeah, this is a way to get up close and personal. He's so cool. So I really invite people who are really wanting to just get answers. You know, he just gives you so much information that he's just so good at what he does. And then Saturday, Sunday is the conference. So that's all educational from 9 a.m. till 8 at night. And then Sunday it goes till 5, and I'm flying in a raw food chef, Jason Robel. He's a Detroit native, and he's like the chef to all the stars out there. Every big star you can imagine, he's their raw food chef. So. And
can people just show up and register, or do they go online?
That's a really good point. Yeah, we actually built a website within Facebook. So for those who aren't on Facebook, I'm sorry, but we wanted to try it out. That's where everybody's at. So if you go to my Facebook fan page, Regeneration Raw, you can like the page, and then it's all listed on there. There's a map. Hotel information, everything you want to know, the event broken down. There's a video from David, the menu for the Friday night dinner, everything you possibly want. And also if you wanted to be a sponsor too, there's a whole tab for that. So we're excited.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
It's going to be great. And in Detroit, it's his only stop in 2011 in the Midwest. So we've brought him to Detroit. It's fun.
So why not, let's make the smoothie and show
I actually had a couple, but we'll just do one. So why don't we do the... I don't know, you feeling a little bit like pineapple cilantro, or are you feeling more like some cacao strawberry?
I'm feeling pineapple cilantro.
Pineapple, which is great. And since you're a lady and we're always worried about cellulite, this is loaded with bromelain. Bromelain breaks down cellulite. So you know how you always find a lot of your tropical fruits and stuff in your creams and stuff like that? Yeah, it's the enzyme properties. They tend to be really healing. So we're going to cut this pineapple here. You can buy this frozen. You know, as long as you check the ingredients.
What's the difference? If it's an organic frozen pineapple, does that take away the enzymes at all, or?
Freezing does destroy a little bit of enzymes, but it's not like heat, so I don't even talk about it or worry about it, because in our lifestyle, in our world, a lot of people, you know, you can't get it fresh, or it's like peaches right now. They're really not in season just yet, but if you get them frozen, they actually froze them when they were ripe, so they're going to have more sweetness. So we're going to go ahead. You don't really have to cut the center. I can't remember what it's called, the rib.
So a good knife's important.
Yeah, the most dangerous thing in a kitchen is a dull knife, because you use more pressure actually. So I'm going to go ahead and put about a half a pineapple in there. You can just throw it in totally big chunks, because remember that puppy can grind up an iPhone. So
yeah, that's why I love this. Less cut. I mean, one of the reasons. Less cutting, less chopping.
It's just easy, you know, and us Americans, we like our easy, fast. So.
Right, exactly. Well, I think that's the other thing, is people don't realize that you can do all this fast.
Yeah.
Like once you sort of know what you're doing and have a little bit of information, you can do it very quickly. It doesn't. People think it takes a lot of time to eat this way.
Totally. And you know what happens is when people switch their diet, especially to something that's off the wall to most people. They come to me and they have like 50 recipes, and around my detox, they're like, I need more recipes. And it's just this place we go to in our mind. I always tell people, when you're eating your regular diet,
how many recipes do you really have?
Are you making this new crazy thing for three meals a day?
Exactly.
It's like, no, you have your staples. So
you have your staples that you rotate every week or so.
Exactly. And so right now what I'm cutting into, if you're wondering, like, what is that crazy thing she's cutting into? This is called a young Thai coconut. Not to be confused with a mature coconut. It has a big green shell around it, so if you watch Survivor, the reality show, you see them chipping away at these. Everyone tells me I should go on that, because I'd just be living off the grass and be rocking it, right? So if you forget how to do this, there's 100,000 YouTube videos, how to open a young Thai coconut.
Okay.
I have some clients whose husbands just drill into it for the water. There's an eye down here. You can just stick a screwdriver in it, but we love the meat in here as well. But today, we're just going to do the actual water in here.
At the stores, sometimes they'll do it for you if you ask them.
Oh, really? I didn't know that. With the Whole Foods here?
The Plum will.
Oh, Plum Market. Wow, they have these now. Good.
Yeah.
Okay, so this one was from Nino Salvaggio. It's a different brand I've never used. It's actually really easy, but of course when I get on camera, it's a little harder. It's just how the world works. But you can tell. I mean, that's not that
I feel
hard.
Like I picked the wrong recipe.
No, it's okay. Yeah, you're trying to give me my work.
I know.
A little bit. So there's so you can see how it kind of points, and on one side it raises up a little more. So you want to use a really cheap knife. Like this is People call it a machete, but come on. It's just a meat cleaver from Bed Bath & Beyond. It was an El Cheapo, $10. You don't want to use your Wustafs, your good knives. Yeah, so then usually coconut water will spray, as it just did, got a little wet. So you can put a towel over that. Nice.
Cool.
So then you can just crack it open like so. This one was really ready to be opened, so got a little coconut water in the eye. All right, so we're going to go ahead and pour this water in here. And usually the meat's really white, but today we just got a coconut that it wasn't. So you can usually scrape out the meat and use the meat. If you don't know what to do with the meat in the beginning, you can just freeze it. Just scoop it out with a spoon, freeze it, and then once you get more into raw, like 3 months later, you'll be able to use it.
If it's not white, should you not use it?
Yeah, you don't have to use it. I personally just don't. It doesn't, there's a lot of banter about why it's pink, but we don't need to get into that today. Of course it would be that way when I, and we're gonna, you know what, we're gonna pour in here just to make it a little bit healthier because I'm really into medicinal stuff and raw food. Right now, nettles are fresh, so stinging nettles, you can get them fresh again at the Ann Arbor Co-op, but you can find them in nature and in the woods, and the best food on planet Earth is wild food. Like it goes like going from standard American food to Whole Foods, which is the next step, which is maybe this much above eating organics. And then there's like farmers markets foods and wild foods, and you start to get in foods that are really nutritious. So what I did is I just boiled some of this and made this tea.
Oh, so I was going to say, I drink stinging nettle. I was just going to ask if it's bad if you cook it in a tea. So it's okay? I mean, I don't cook it. It's, you know.
Yeah, like I just steeped it.
Yeah, I steeped it.
Yeah, I steeped it just to open up some of its properties. You can also make a sun tea with it. So you can put it out in the sun in a big glass jar. So we're going to add a little bit of the nettles. It's super high in vitamin K. I mean, it's been around for like 3,000 years. People with arthritis or gout, rheumatoid arthritis, things like that, they take it and feel amazing. So we're going to add a little sweetener in here. I don't do agave nectar. I say friends don't let friends use agave.
Yeah, I don't either.
It's just high fructose corn syrup, pretty much. So we're going to do a little bit of raw honey. Though it's not vegan, do you eat honey?
You know, it's...
Okay. You're like, oh God, she put honey.
No, I do it sometimes.
It's medicinal.
I know. I'm torn about it.
Yeah.
You know?
You know, we don't have to get into that right now. I'm putting a little camu in there, which is just a berry, and it was dried, and so it's the highest source of vitamin C on planet Earth. And this right here mimics our human blood plasma. So the water in this is exactly the same molecular structure as your human blood plasma. So if you mix this with the greens, you're giving yourself a blood transfusion every day. Because chlorophyll is plant blood, but chlorophyll is just like our blood. Only the center molecule is different. So we're going to put a big handful of cilantro in there. And cilantro is actually the best chelator on planet Earth, the best chelator. And chelation means, you heard of chelation treatment, a lot with cancer and stuff?
No.
Comes from the, chelation is, the word chel comes from the Latin word to claw, so there's a lot of toxins and poisons and VOCs and heavy metals. They just stay in your body.
Nasty,
it goes in and claws it.
Comes out.
Like people who are on chemo or getting chemo or radiation, I can't give them cilantro because it will take it out of their body, which is great. So after people get done with that,
then you can.
Yeah. So I keep my skins on. See that? That's where all the good stuff is. So leave the tops on your strawberries, the skins on the cucumbers. And
what are, I know cucumbers are great, but why?
The skins are loaded with sulfur. Sulfur is actually the beauty mineral. So all those raw foodies that get the glow, helps with collagen. They're loaded with so many vitamins and minerals. So we're just going to go ahead and grind this puppy up.
All right.
So for time's sake, we're going to drink ours a little chunky, but you can leave it running until it's thin. You can use frozen pineapple or add ice to it so it's more frozen.
Okay.
But it's delicious. Yeah, so ours is going to be a little warm, but I eat for health.
And do you usually start your day out with a smoothie?
I do. I smoothie and I juice.
Okay.
So juice is removing the fiber. So cheers.
Cheers. Yum.
Isn't that
This
nice?
is great. Yeah, it's very refreshing. So this is delicious. I love this. I'm going to have to write down the recipe and make it for sure.
Great.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
And for all of you watching, please go on Regeneration Raw to learn more about Andrea McNinch, and you can also go to the Facebook page for David Wolf Raw, which is coming the first weekend in August, and it will be great. So thanks again for joining us. You can find the recipe on elizabethskindcafe.com, and we will see you next time.